Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's get on to covering the species that were in news in the month of September 2019. The first one is snow leopard. Alright, so this is how it looks. Its photo is right here towards the right side of our screen. So it's a leopard, that's it. It is a state animal of Himachal Pradesh, which is not very important, but this is important that its current range comprises of 12 countries including India. So this is not an animal that resides only in India, but it resides right there in 11 other nations, so it becomes 12 if we are counting India as well. This is very important. Second point is habitat and its distribution. So 12 countries means what? We really cannot memorize all of them, but an idea would suffice that basically these snow leopard, they inhabit alpine and subalpine zones, and we know alpines and subalpines areas are at a very high elevations, and broad idea would suffice that over 3000 meters we're talking about here. So that gets converted into 3,800 to 14,800 feet, that's it. So idea would suffice over 3,000 meter alpine and subalpine zones. It means in either way is obvious that such an high area is there at a very high mountainous ranges. So Himalayans is our keyword here, that they basically are there in the Himalayas region, and Himalayas are spread across not just in India but in western Afghanistan as well, and other than this these leopards are there in Mongolia and western China, that's it. In India, where exactly are they found? Broadly in the Himalayan range, that's it. So we know Himalayas are there in the J&K, Himachal Pradesh as well as Uttarakhand. We basically call them western Himalayas, plus they are in Sikkim as well as in Arunachal Pradesh, we just call them eastern Himalayas. So broad idea would suffice that they inhabit a very high altitude area which we call as alpine or subalpine zones, and precisely the elevation is over 3000 meters, and in India they are found in J&K, Himachal, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh, that's it. Now what are the threats to them? So threats are either way very simple. Habitat loss is there, degradation of their habitat is there, because people, they are just cutting the forest and that's how their habitat is getting lost and it's getting degraded. Decline of cats, large mammal prey is there, because they are carnivorous, they are bound to hunt any other animal and that's how they're gonna feed themselves. But because we are into poaching lot of animals, and this is the very reason there is decline of the cat species food base. Poaching is there for their body parts, specially to be used in traditional Chinese medicine. So this is either way very simple. Now this is important. What are their IUCN status, which is vulnerable? Under CITES, they are under Appendix 1, and in case of WPA, that is Wildlife Protection Act 1972, we have put them under Schedule 1. So everything about this snow leopard is important. There is this one information towards the right side of our screen in this very photo. Protected areas we are to talk about here. So because they are found in J&K, Uttarakhand and Arunachal Pradesh, so these areas are also having some protected areas devised for them. The number one is Hemis National Park, which is in J&K. Number second is Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary, which is Arunachal Pradesh, and the last one is Nanda Devi National Park, which is in Uttarakhand. Now, as far as I can recall, we were asked by UPSC which of these protected areas were found in which state. So this is how we can memorize this thing as well. I mean, this tiny information is definitely important. This is the sole reason behind recalling a previous year question. So please memorize this as well. Hemis National Park is in J&K, Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary is in Arunachal Pradesh, and Nanda Devi National Park is in Uttarakhand. So this is it. Let's just do a quick revision here. So snow leopard, state animal of Himachal, found in 12 countries including India. Habitat is alpine and subalpine, elevation from 3000 to 4500 meter. Western Afghanistan, Mongolia and western China. In India, it's in J&K, Himachal, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal. Threats to their habitats are either way simple. IUCN status is vulnerable, Appendix 1 of CITES and Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972. And the second species is pangolin or scaly anteaters, because they eat ants largely, plus their body has got this scales over it, so we're just calling it scaly anteaters or pangolins, that's it. India is home to two species of pangolins, and what are these? Number 1 is Chinese pangolin, which is found in northeastern India. This is either way simple because our geography that is there in northeastern, which is quite similar to the Chinese geography, so we can sort of get the idea from this. So Chinese pangolin is there in northeastern India, and Indian pangolin is where it's distributed in other parts of the country, plus Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Pakistan. So geography of the other parts of the country, or primarily the central India, is similar to the geography of Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Pakistan. So this is where we can get the hint, because the animals do not know the political boundaries. Alright, the next is this, that they are toothless, so they do not have teeth. Alright, this makes them unique because of this, they're not having teeth, and this has happened as a result of millions of years of evolution. They eat what? Ants, termites, larvae, and this is the reason we just call them scaly anteater. That's it. They evolved scales as a means of protection. So scales are not just because of aesthetic purpose, it is serving a very well-meaning role here. So they protect them from any predator. So whenever they are threatened by any big carnivore, any predator, they're gonna curl themselves into a ball, and this scale is gonna protect them from any attack by these lions or tigers. That's it. So nature has evolved them into something like this, and this is how they're getting protected. The scales defend them against dental attacks from the predators. So definitely predators are not having sophisticated tools with them. They're going to be hunting them, they're going to be eating them through their teeth, but because of these scales, they're going to get themselves protected against any dental attacks. Alright, they are one of the most trafficked mammals in Asia. Because of what? Because there is this misconception that these scales, they possess magic or charms, and they have the medicinal properties. So because of this reason, people demand them, and this is why they are trafficked. Across what? Across Asia, Africa, and especially in China and Vietnam, they are in high demand. Their IUCN status is endangered. Under CITES, they are under Appendix 1, under WPA Schedule 1, and the Chinese pangolin is the critically endangered. So Indian pangolin is endangered and Chinese pangolin is critically endangered. That's it. We just have to memorize this. One way of memorizing it could be this, because China track record of protecting animals is not that good. So Chinese pangolin is the critically endangered one, and India's on the other hand is the endangered one. So this is just a way of memorizing. There's no logic here, but we are done with the pangolin as well. Let's just go for a quick revision here. Two species of pangolin in India: Chinese, which is there in the northeastern, plus Indian, which is in the rest of the country, plus Sri Lanka, Bangladesh and Pakistan. They are toothless, they are scaly, they eat ants, termites, larvae. Scales protect them against any predator's attack. They are most trafficked mammals in Asia and Africa, especially in China and Vietnam. They are demanded because of their being a misconception of these scales being used for magic and charms plus medicinal properties. The Indian one is endangered. The CITES Appendix 1, Schedule 1 of WPA, and the Chinese one is critically endangered. That's it. It's a little bit difficult. It's got a lot of details, but then this is how it is. Please try watching them again, try reading them again, and try memorizing them. That's the only logical way forward here. Let's get on to the next one, which is the Cryodracon boreas. Now this is absolutely not important, so we'll be covering this quickly. So recently it was discovered that it could be one of the largest flying animals. Which animal? Largest flying animal. So animals don't fly, but maybe it's a different sort of animal. So it's one of the largest flying animals. What are we talking about here? Cryodracon boreas. With a wingspan of over 10 meters, it is believed that they have flown over the heads of dinosaurs. Alright, so when they used to fly, they used to spread their wings up till 10 meters, and this is how they could have flown over the heads of dinosaurs. So as we can see, it's not important. Still, we have covered it for the sake of covering, but do not really get bogged down by this. So Cryodracon boreas, that's it. Let's just get on to the next one. So its name is Boiga thackeray. Alright, this is what? From the name, we really are not being able to guess anything, so just we have to memorize. It's a snake. Alright, so it's a new species of snake. So if a question comes, Boyga thackereys was in news for what? So it's a new species of snake, that's it. Discovered from where? From Western Ghats in Maharashtra. So only this thing is important. Name of the species and the area of discovery, that's it. Other than this, for the sake of covering, we'll be covering it, but other than this is not important. We're just gonna be getting bogged down by this. So much of details to be memorized. So just keep a tab on two things. Boyga thackereys, it's a snake discovered from Western Ghats in Maharashtra, that's it. But let's just cover it now. It falls under the category commonly called cat snakes and it belongs to genus Boyga. So Boyga is our genus here and under it we'll be having a lot of species and this is the second species. First one was B. digtoni, that too was discovered from the Western Ghats, that was in fact endemic to the Western Ghats, and this has been discovered after 125 years. So again, not important. This snake, it got a tiger-like strips on its body, which is again not important. And why we're calling it Boyga thackereys? Boyga because its genus is Boyga, and thackereys because to acknowledge the contribution of a researcher, Tejas Thackeray, for his contribution to the discovery. So this is the very reason we are calling it Thackeray. So Boyga thackeray is what? It's a snake. It has been discovered from Western Ghats in Maharashtra and that's it. Let's just get on to the next one. So it's the cannabis. I'm sure we all have seen this cannabis and it can grow anywhere. This is what? This is basically a drug that comes from Indian hemp plants such as Cannabis sativa and Cannabis indica. What sort of drug it is? It's a depressant drug. What does it do? It slows down the activity of our central nervous system, and that's how the messages that brain transmits to the body, it somehow gets delayed, it somehow gets depressed, and we feel what hallucinogenic effect is there, and either way person feels good, sort of good when it takes the cannabis because the central nervous system slows down its activity, that's it. When taken in large doses, it can produce a hallucinogenic effect, person can hallucinate, but what exactly is the chemical that is doing everything? It's the THC, that is delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol. So delta 9 tetrahydrocannabinol is there, that is the active chemical in its THC, which is again not important, but still we have covered it. So what is cannabis? It's a drug. It comes from Indian hemp plants such as Cannabis sativa and Cannabis indica. It's a depressant drug, which we know what it means, and when taken in large doses, it can produce hallucinogenic effects. But why we are studying it now? Because Manipur government is considering legalizing the cannabis for its medicinal properties, which will also boost the startup sector of the state. So it's not like anybody can grow, anybody can cultivate cannabis just like we cultivate wheat or rice or any other crop. No, but there are certain states in India which have legalized its cultivation because this cannabis has certain medicinal properties as well. Manipur is not that state as of now, but it is considering it to legalize. But what all are the states that have already legalized it? It's right here: Arunachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, that's it. Also, Manipur is on the edge of the golden triangle of drug trade. So there are three countries primarily that are at the highest level of the drug abuse by their citizens. But let's just not deviate. So basically we're talking about golden triangle here. So that comprises of Thailand, Myanmar and Laos, plus China to a certain extent. And this moves would, it's written very small letters here, but this move triggers more substance abuse. So we got the crux here because Manipur is right there at the vicinity of the golden triangle, and that area is very notorious for its drug trade. So if we are legalizing the cannabis for its medicinal properties, the probability of it getting diverted towards drug abuse is very high. So this is what it's been written over here. So what we have got from this entire slide is either way very simple. I will not call it difficult. We really haven't studied any factual detail here, so we really are not gonna do any revision here. It's really simple, so that's it. Let's just get on to the next one. It's the frog. What sort of frog? Not a normal frog because it's got 3 different names. Mycorrhiza eos, rice frog or chorus frog. Alright. And this is what? This is a species that has been discovered recently, a new one. From where? From the Arunachal Pradesh. Very, very important. So if a question comes, Mycorrhiza eos is what? It's a frog species discovered from the Arunachal Pradesh. That's it. Its mouth is very narrow and we're just calling it narrow mouth frog, and it is primarily found in the Asia and it is widely distributed in Asia. That's it. It has been discovered from the riparian habitat, so where 24/7 water availability is there, which is there in evergreen forest. So this is either way simple. Where exactly? In the Namdhapa Tiger Reserve of the state, which is also the easternmost protected area in the country. Very, very important. So Namdhapa Tiger Reserve we know is in Arunachal Pradesh. It got primary evergreen type of forest and that's why we're calling it riparian habitat. Plus it is the easternmost protected area in the country. So if a question comes, Namdhapa Tiger Reserve is there, certain 4-5 more names are there, which more names of tiger reserves of the protected areas are there in the question, then we just have to keep in mind that Namdhapa is the right answer. So which of these is the easternmost protected area in the country? Namdhapa Tiger Reserve. That's it. And in which state it is? It's in Arunachal Pradesh. That's it. Since Arunachal Pradesh is popularly known as the land of rising sun, so Arunachal Pradesh is our state on which the sunlight falls first. So Arunachal Pradesh is the land of the rising sun or the land of the dawn lit mountains, and the dawn is a mythological Greek goddess, and this Greek goddess is also called Eos. So just to have this linkage, we are calling it Mycorrhiza eos. I do not know how important this is, but we have covered it. At least this thing should be kept in mind, that Arunachal Pradesh is known as land of rising sun plus land of dawn lit mountains. That's it. So we have studied this as well. Mycorrhiza eos, rice frog, chorus frog is what? It's a new species from Arunachal Pradesh. Namdhapa Tiger Reserve. That's it. This would suffice, I guess. So let's get on to the species that were in the news in the month of October 2019. So Asiatic water buffalo is there, and how does it look? It looks like this. Buffalo, I'm sure we all must have seen a buffalo, but it's not a regular buffalo. It got fancy name, Asiatic water buffalo. Alright. It's the state animal of Chhattisgarh, not important. But it is listed as an endangered species by the IUCN. Now this is important. Why we're studying it? Because recently 2 Asiatic water buffaloes died. Where? In Pobitara Wildlife Sanctuary, which is where? Which is in Assam. And they died of what? They died of anthrax. So let's talk about Pobitara Wildlife Sanctuary and anthrax a bit. There is this Pobitara Wildlife Sanctuary where in Assam, and it is situated in the flood plains of river Brahmaputra. So Assam is there at the lower side of the river Brahmaputra. That make us say that it is there in the flood plains of river Brahmaputra, which is not that difficult to memorize, and we really don't need to memorize it. All we have to keep in mind is this: Pobitara Wildlife Sanctuary is where? In Assam. And in this wildlife sanctuary we got highest density of one very important animal. Please let me know in the comment section which animal is that. Alright, it's also called as Mini Kaziranga. Why we're calling it Mini Kaziranga? Number 1, Kaziranga is also there in Assam, but the landscape is quite similar. So the landscape of Kaziranga and the Pobitara Wildlife Sanctuary is very similar, and this is why we're calling it Mini Kaziranga. That's it. And this is either way simple, because nature does not know the political boundaries. If 2 sanctuaries are there in the Assam, and Assam is a very small state, we just are divided that very area into 2 wildlife sanctuaries, this is bound to be having some similar sort of landscape, right? So not very difficult to understand here as well. Anthrax is what? It's a serious infectious disease. I mean, it's a serious one. That is the reason too Asiatic water buffalo has died of it. And it's caused by a bacteria. What is the name of that bacteria? Bacillus anthracis. So Bacillus is there, so that make us say that it's a bacteria. Anthracis is there, so that make us say that it causes anthrax. which is commonly affecting the domestic and wild animals around the world. So it can affect the domestic animals as well, not just the wild one. So that's it, we have studied. It's really simple. Asiatic water buffalo, endangered, state animal of Chhattisgarh, found in where? In Pobitora, and maybe in some other areas as well. It's not written over here, but as per what we have studied from this is this. Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary is in Assam. It's a mini Kaziranga. Anthrax is a bacterial disease caused by Bacillus anthracis, and that's it. Let's just talk about the next one. So it's what? It's a Tasmanian tiger or thylacine or Tasmanian wolf. Alright, so why we are studying it? For not so important reason, but factual details are important. Number one, it's the extinct one. Very important. It's not there right now. It's been extinct. It is one of the largest known carnivorous marsupials, evolving about 4 million years ago. When did it go extinct? So basically the last known Tasmanian tiger, the Tasmanian wolf or the thylacine, it died in captivity in over 80 years ago in 1936 in Tasmania's Hobart Zoo. Alright, but there's been release of a document by the Department of Primary Industries, Park and Water and Environment of Tasmania, which stated that 8 sightings was there of Tasmanian tiger in the last 3 years. So there is a probability that this Tasmanian tiger was sighted some 8 times in last 3 years. That's it. This is not important, but other factual details are important. Number one, it's the extinct one. It was a native to Tasmania, New Guinea and the Australian mainland. That's it. Now if you look at it, it looks like as if it's a dog. So its height, its medium to size body gives it an appearance of a dog, but then it got a very stiff tail, plus it got abdominal pouch. So that is like of a kangaroo, because we know kangaroos are having these pouches. That's why we're calling them marsupials, because the babies of kangaroo or any marsupial animals, they are born underdeveloped, and then they put that into a pouch, and which we call as marsupials, and that's from where the babies get the nutrients until they are well developed. Alright, so the body or the size gives it a dog-like appearance, the tail and pouch gives it a kangaroo-like appearance, but then it also has a strips, transverse strips, and that gives it a tiger-like appearance. That's it. Why we're calling it Tasmanian tiger? Because of its strips. That's it. So other things I'm sure we have already studied. The last one died in captivity 80 years ago in 1936 in Tasmania's Hobart Zoo. So this is it. This is not very important, but again there was something new about it, so we have studied. So that's it. Let's just get on to the last one. Now its IUCN status is nothing because it's got extinct. It is no longer here. Alright, so let's get on to the last one, then we're done with the species that were in news in the month of October. Now this is not very important and it's really simple, so let's just cover it quickly. It's an albus or a bird. Its full name is white bellbird or Procnias albus. That's it. Why we're studying it? Because the research published has stated that white bellbird makes the loudest call ever. It can reach up to 125 decimal. Amongst birds, of course, we're not comparing its sound with that of lion or with the elephant, we're talking about birds here. So amongst birds, white bellbird makes the loudest call. This record was previously held by the screaming pihas, but now we having the albus holding this record. It's a species of bird in the family Contingidae. Not important, absolutely not important. It is found in the forest in the Guianas with small numbers in Venezuela and the Brazilian state of Para. So basically they are found in South American continent. That's it. The male is white, the female is overall olive with yellowish streaks below and resembles other bellbirds. Absolutely not important. IUCN status is the least concerned one. Now this is important, although I don't think UPSC is going to ask us this very question because the context is not important. This has just gotten the status of making the loudest call ever. That can reach up to 125 decimal. That used to be held by the screaming piha, this record. But we have studied it, so we have covered all the species that were in news in the month of October 2019 and September 2019. We're still left with November and December that we'll be covering right after this one. So thank you so much for watching. Also, kindly join this Telegram channel in order to download the PDF. I provide the link of this very TG channel in the description box as well, but some people keep on writing where to find the PDFs, then I would urge you again to look at the description box and join this channel to download the PDF. That's it. So once again, we are done. Thank you so much for watching and goodbye.